What is your gut telling you what happened?
It's very confusing, in the sense of like, because this man looked at me in my eyes with no, like acting like he could just do what he did. I feel very insecure. Just in general, the way I view people, I guess. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was type. I just feel really insecure about everything because it just makes me feel like anything I ever knew was not right. Like if this was really going on, like, and we didn't see anything, like, that's how I feel. I feel a lot of guilt. Like, I feel like, man, were we just not paying attention? Like, I don't know. That's
do you think Stephen had something to do with this?
What?
Do you think Stephan had anything to do with this?
Oh, my God.
Taking the equation out, what you know now.
Right.
Leading up to it.
Like, before everything went down, dude, I would have never thought that this would happen. I would have never thought that he was capable of doing anything to her.
All I know, Stephan, is when I look at a picture of you and I look into your eyes, I don't see a monster there. I don't see a bad person there. I see my son, who I love. That never will change.
Well, thank you. And I know that I'm not a bad person or an evil person or a monster.
You seem like a genuinely nice person.
You try to be.
Jennifer talks very highly of you.
I understand that. I don't understand lack of emotion.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't like she was catatonic. She was talking in a normal voice. You know, the only thing that showed any emotion at all was jiggling her leg, but she did that anyway. So
yeah,
she was anxious because she was lying to her teeth.
Well,
that's okay.
Don't get your hopes up for any conspiracy theories or vast conspiracy. Just understand that anything I did was not done while being within my rational mind. I had snapped at that point.
It sounds like Stephan Sterns is trying to warn his parents that he is taking responsibility, and Jen Soto didn't know. One common tool to those who sexually abuse kids is grooming, manipulative behaviors that the abuser uses to gain access to a potential victim, coerce them to agree to the abuse, and reduce the risk of being caught. Grooming can take place online or in person. It's usually employed by a family member or someone else in the victim's circle of trust.
And I wish I had done the correct thing to begin with. You know, I wish I'd run downstairs and shaken her awake and called 911 and all that.
Like a coach, teacher, youth group leader, or others who naturally have some interaction with the victim. Abusers often observe possible victims and select them based on ease of access to them or their perceived vulnerability. Abusers will attempt to physically or emotionally separate a victim from those protecting them and often seek out positions in which they have contact with minors. Abusers attempt to gain trust of the potential victim through gifts, attention, sharing secrets, or other means to make them feel that they are having a caring relationship and to train them to keep the relationship a secret.
As I was going to say, I can handle a lot of things, and one thing I just can't reconcile or figure out in my mind or wrap my head around is the fact that, you know, she doesn't get to live anymore. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see for her, you know. She had another year or so before high school, you know, learning how to drive, figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I was excited to see where she was going, you know. I was really impressed with the person that she was finally growing into.
We know that they were sent to bed that night at 11:19 p.m. Jennifer Soto texts Stephan Sterns 20 minutes later, telling them good night and go straight to sleep. Maddie's phone is disconnected from the phone charger at 7:04 a.m., and it is powered off at 7:16 a.m., then turned back on just after 10 a.m. Sunrise that morning was 6:52 a.m.
I just think, you know, maybe God just delivered her out of a place that was going to become really bad for her.
I mean, I always knew that life was going to be hard for her. Her mom certainly didn't do her any favors, and since I had no say in the matter of how she was raised or disciplined or anything, there was nothing I could do about it but sit back and watch the train wreck as it unfolded.
Grooming behaviors are not only used to gain a victim's trust, but often are used to create a trustworthy image and relationship with their family and community. Child and teen sex abusers are often charming, kind, and helpful, exactly the type of behavior we value in friends and acquaintances.
Can you explain to me what your relationship is between you and...
Yeah, stepfather of sorts, I guess. She thought of me as a dad, thinks of me as a dad.
You should be on guard that this type of behavior is sometimes just a mirage, a way for an abuser to gain your trust, so they have more direct access to your child, and make it less likely that the child will be believed if they speak up about the abuse. Here is just another example of how Stephan Sterns and Jennifer Soto just miss each other. Jennifer Soto is pulling into her LabCorp appointment, and Sterns is using the same street to head back to the house with Maddie in the trunk.
Yeah, and she's trying to tell everybody that she was a little angel and she had no problems with her, and you were already telling us that they were butting heads like two Rocky Mountain Rams.
Yeah, they've gotten physical on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I figured they did that again. But okay.
You know, I often played mediator between the two of them because I was the only one that could talk either of them down when they started going at it with each other.
Yeah, I know.
Where were the roommates when all this was going on?
You know, upstairs, you know, doing their own things.
Was all that screaming and yelling and crap going on?
Yeah,
I'm surprised
it
they stayed.
honestly, it wasn't that far out of place in that house. You know, we was often given to yelling or loud crying or outbursts, and it was given to yelling and screaming and coming down on people. It was happening a lot more and more often, which is why I kept trying to tell you, I think maybe your meds are becoming less effective. It seems like you're becoming more erratic and more unstable. It seemed like the more stable I became, the more unstable she became, like we switched places.
Well, I always told you she was a black hole to need.
Here, Stephan admits that as it, I assume he's talking about Jennifer Soto, becomes more stable, he became less stable, like they switched places. Jennifer Soto and Madeline Soto were attending family therapy together. They were in a good place, and it was just a matter of time before they figured out what was tearing them apart. Stephan could not accept that. Jennifer Soto continuously tells police that the three of them are the same. They all suffer from the same things. They are similar. But she was wrong. According to Sterns' parents, he's a genius. Sterns is an avid reader and loves to give advice on Reddit. Stephan Sterns isn't quite like Jen and Madeline Soto now, is he?
There are some ugly truths and some not so pretty truths, but you know, I guess I reacted to everything the way I did because I wanted to shield her. I wanted to keep her from getting any blowback or anything, but
You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have, because that left them only one person to lay everything on. That was you.
Yep. And you know, I should have just done the correct thing from the get-go and let the chips fall where they may. But I couldn't stand the idea of losing them both horribly like that. And I lost them both anyway, so it was pointless.
You know, Stephan, I could never have imagined that we would all be in this situation. I just can't, just couldn't. There's no way I could have ever even visualized it. This is awful.
Yeah, me either, to be honest.
Well, I mean, things kind of sideways, whatever happened with, so you knew that was going to go down a rat hole.
Yeah, well, I never in a million years that she would not be around anymore, so.
Yeah. So once that went sideways, whatever happened, you know, that was all she wrote.
Yeah, well, as I was going to say, I can handle a lot of things, and one thing I just can't reconcile or figure out in my mind or wrap my head around is the fact that, you know, she doesn't get to live anymore. There are a lot of things that I wanted to see for her, you know. She had another year or so before high school, you know, learning how to drive, figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I was excited to see where she was going, and I was really impressed with the person that she was finally growing into. I'm praying to God and asking for His help to make it possible, but...
Well, how about giving up the chivalrous part and lay some truthisms on?
What's that?
I said, quit being so chivalrous and protective, start laying some truth bombs on her.
You know,
There's truth bombs there.
You know, maybe not as groundbreaking or bombastic as, you know, you might hope for.